Hi everyone, this is Tio from PocketBlocks.com. Today I'm going to be talking about ink, drawing inks that you can use in your fountain pens or your dip pens or with your brush. So I'm going to be telling you what ink you should use with a dip pen or what inks you should use with your fountain pens or not, inks that you should not be using with your fountain pens. So that's what I'm going to cover in this video. Let's get right into it. Okay, I have separated all the inks that I have into three groups. On the left side, we have inks for fountain pens, and in the middle, we have this big bottle of Rotring ink. This is for technical drawing pens. And on the right side, we have a few bottles of India ink. Let's just talk about India ink first. India ink is basically black ink. They are first invented in China actually, but because the carbon pigment that is used to create the ink come from India, so somehow it got named as India ink. Now, what's inside these inks are actually some soot, some binder, and water, plus some other chemicals to make them into fluid form. So India ink is good for comic drawing purposes or for calligraphy or for any sort of situation where you want the ink to be as black as possible. So they are usually used with dip pens, calligraphy pens, or brushes. And you can see that there are a variety of sizes for the bottles. And if you are going to be using a brush for India with India ink or dip pen, then I would advise you to get bottles that have a big opening so that when you dip it inside, for example, it'll be easier to just go into a large opening versus going into a small opening like this. This would be quite difficult to use with a brush like this. Let's take a look at some of these bottles. These two are made by Kuretake. One is a black ink 60, the other one is Sumi ink. Sumi ink is basically ink that is created from grinding those ink sticks. So this one was, I think somewhere it says that it's ground from ink stick. So before you use it, it's best to just shake it around so that the darkness will be evenly distributed. So here it says that it's a water-based pigment and it's waterproof after it dries. This one is also waterproof after it dries. But take all these labels with don't just take it for granted that they are waterproof. Actually go and test it first before you actually apply it to your artwork, because sometimes the ink may be waterproof on a certain paper, but when you're using it with some other paper, it may not be waterproof. I'll talk about it later on. So those are good. The two Kuretake bottles, these two are good for manga drawing, comic drawing. And then we look at the Dr. P.H. Martin. These three bottles are also India ink, just different variations of bottle ink. This one dries to a matte. This one is a black star. This one is high carb. That means they put more than the usual amount of carbon pigment in it. So this one is really dark. And we have the standard Bombay black. Now, if you were to apply it on the paper itself, I'm not going to do it because I have too many bottles. It's going to get messy. But the difference is very subtle. Let's take a look at this one. Is Cali ink. One thing to note about all this ink is they are not suitable for fountain pens. Let's take a look at this Cali ink from Daler Rowney. This is a ink that they have designed for calligraphy use. They say that it's non-clogging, pigmented, waterproof calligraphy ink. So don't use this in fountain pens. These two are from Winsor & Newton. Very small bottle. On the right side we have the liquid India ink, not waterproof. So not all India inks are waterproof. So we have here liquid India ink that is not waterproof. This is Winsor & Newton. Then we have a black India ink. It doesn't say here whether or not this is waterproof, so you have to test it yourself. Anyway, I have already reviewed all of these inks, including ink samples that can be found on my website. You just have to visit the link that is in the description below this video. This is another India ink. This is Kandahar. This is from Daler-Rowney as well. This is not 100% black, so this is about maybe 95%. I like this ink because just because of the fact that it is not 100% black. So usually when I draw some lines, dark lines, with my, let's say, technical pen, and I can do a wash over the dark lines, and I can still see the dark lines there. So this is very nice for that. But if you want it to be really opaque, then you can choose some of the other inks that I've talked about, especially the Dr. P.H. Martin's ink. And this one is a Pelikan Fount India. This one says it's drawing ink for fountain pens right here. It may be too small for you to read, but I will not use this in a fountain pen. If it's India, any bottle that comes with the word India, I will not use it in a fountain pen, so it's quite dangerous. I have no idea why they want to put that description on the bottle itself. Some of this ink bottle, they have there's a little dropper that you can use to I don't know, take ink out. This one is quite useful because if I want to create let's say a gray wash, I just need maybe a few drops of black ink, and then I can dilute it with water. This dropper will come in handy to just create a few black ink drops. So those are the India ink. Let's talk about this. This one is Rotring drawing ink. So this is 250 ml. Rotring has a very small, a much smaller bottle. Let me go and find it. Yep, this is the smaller bottle that is more portable. So I use this big bottle to refill the smaller bottles. This ink, because the bottle has a tapered edge, so there's this tapered end here. This tapered end is useful because it can fit inside the cartridge of this technical pen here. So you just fit the tapered end into this cartridge inside and squeeze some of the ink out. And that's all there is to refilling this technical pen. Very convenient. Okay, and these are the inks that you can use for fountain pens. This is made by Pilot. This one is called Takesumi. Pilot makes other colored inks as well. This is not waterproof, and when it comes to choosing ink for fountain pens, when you are at the shop, a stationery shop, and the bottle says it's suitable for fountain pen use, you just take it as it's not going to be waterproof, because most fountain pen inks are not waterproof. The reason is because this is created by using some dyes instead of carbon pigment. So this is very safe for fountain pen use. This is the ink that I usually use. This is the Noodles ink. This one is made in USA, and I think it's only sold in USA, so I have to import this ink from the United States. It's a 90 ml bottle, so it can last quite a long time. It's 97% water-based, and it's waterproof when it's dry. Now the strange thing about this ink is on some paper it will dry to waterproof, and on some other paper, even though it may look dry, sometimes when I run my finger across it, that it will smudge. And this is not a very fast drying ink, so it takes a long time to dry. So be careful when working with the Noodles ink. Just make sure that if you want to apply watercolor over it, make sure that the ink is totally dry. I know a lot of people, they like to use this ink, but that is just one thing you need to take note of, the slow drying time. This one is the Atramentis Archive ink. They have another bottle called the Document ink. This one is the Archive ink. Both are waterproof. I'm not sure why one is called Document ink and one is called the Archive ink. So they say that this one is suitable for fountain pens, and so I guess it might be safe. This one is the Sailor Kiwaguro. I like this bottle. This bottle is very nice because it has a big opening. But the ink is quite smelly. This is the other one. This is made by Platinum. I'm not sure if it's the same company that makes the Platinum fountain pen, but it's made by Platinum. So all these 3 bottles of ink contains carbon pigment that are finely grounded into almost nanoparticle size. They say that it's suitable for fountain pens, but I would say try to wash your fountain pens once every month, because they still use carbon pigment, so they might still clog your fountain pen. And the Sailor Kiwaguro and the Platinum Carbon ink, they dry relatively fast. They are slightly a bit more expensive compared to other inks, but they are very good quality inks. So other than using these inks in fountain pens, you can also use them to refill brush pens, especially if your brush pen uses the converter. So you can just refill the converter with the brush instead of buying the expensive ink cartridges. So one bottle of ink can last you a very long time. If you want to check out the characteristics of each of the individual inks, just visit the reviews that I've written on my website. The link is provided in the description below this video. You want to do that because each ink has a different characteristic, has sort of a different personality. Some ink will dry to shiny gloss, some will dry to matte, and some inks, when you spray fixative over it, for example this fountain pen ink, if you spray fixative over it, this ink will break into different colors, and you do not want that. So you want to read up more on the inks itself and things like that. So thank you for watching this video. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask them in the comment section below, or you can ask them on my reviews page. And I hope you subscribe to this channel because I will post more art related topics in the future. Thank you.